everybody.
Hi, friends. Well, from beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up on the show today, Dan, we're going to be talking about what happens when religion enters the metaverse.
The tech age. It's the age of tech religion. And I think good things are coming down the pike.
Yeah, we're helping, Zuckerberg out here. We're getting some ideas rolling for Meta.
Zucker Church.
Yeah, because that's actually probably going to be a thing.
Yeah.
Gross. All right. Well, first we have some news, some things that happened to talk about.
Various and sundry, sure.
And one of them, as somebody who is getting on an airplane fairly soon, and there's actually a lot of airline news right now. The mask mandate has been struck down by a federal judge. Currently, that's where we stand right now. The Biden administration
doesn't mean that all of the airlines had to stop making people wear them, but they did anyway.
Oh, the airlines were so done. They were done. So done with that, enforcing that. And of course it doesn't mean that the virus is going to behave itself, but what can you do? Well, anyway, there's some other risks apparently of getting on planes these days, as exposed by a video that went viral.
Oh my God. Yes. I know exactly what you're going with this.
A Christian pastor playing guitar and leading his congregants, his people, whatever, who were all on a commercial flight in Christian song.
Everybody's packed onto a fucking airplane. And that's not bad enough. Some asshole's got to whip out his guitar and stand up in the aisle and just start singing at you. Oh my God.
Oh my God. The video is, did you watch the video?
I did watch the video. I eventually turned the sound off because I couldn't.
I love that it says worshiping Jesus 30,000 feet in the air. Is the one I saw.
Why can't it be worshiping Jesus plummeting from 30,000 feet in the air?
Yeah. And the video that I'm looking at right now, it's actually paused on somebody's face who is not part of the group.
Oh my God.
He does not look happy. Is the guy in the blue plaid?
Literally no other person on that flight is enjoying. Here's the truth. And I believe this to be true. I'm not in this position, but if that happened on a flight that I was on, the instant I saw it start, I would stand up and say, no, absolutely not. No one here wants that. Sit your ass back down.
Yeah. I think I would first hit the flight attendant call button and be like, and be pointing and be like, shut this down. Shut this down.
Yeah.
This
unacceptable,
is
sir.
This is no.
Absolutely
I will not sit
not.
through this. Well, apparently, U.S. Representative Ilhan Omar, who's Muslim, right?
Indeed.
And she covers, right? She tweeted about this, and she said, I think my family and I should have a prayer session next time I'm on a plane. How do you think it will end?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They literally every Christian who watched that video and was like, thumbs up, yay, go, Jesus.
Yeah.
They would be furious.
Well, first
if a
of
Muslim
all,
did the same thing.
If a Muslim did the same thing, honest to God, there's a chance that they would be tackled and that the flight would make an emergency landing.
Yeah, there would be an attack.
Yeah.
There would be an attack.
Check your religion at the airplane door.
Yeah.
Sir. Just sit down.
Sit in your seat and pray the whole fucking time if you want to. Quietly to yourself.
Yeah. This is not the time nor the place for some good old-fashioned street preaching.
For singing at people. Ugh. No one's asked for this. No one wants this. You're just inflicting it on us.
In an interview later with Christian Post, the pastor himself, he was like, he's like, they were just coming, I guess, from Ukraine, is what he said. And they were just charged up, and they just had to share Jesus's love and everything. But the response, all of this media response and everything, his reaction to that, he says, they persecuted Jesus and persecuted the disciples. This is the cost.
No, you, sir, were persecuting those poor people on that plane.
No kidding.
You were bullying nice people into having to choose between actually saying something about your egregious display, or suffering through it.
Yeah. Sit down.
Oh my God.
Don't do that.
I would not have been still. It would have been and the thing is, you have to catch it early. You can't be like, wait, what's happening? And like, they're 10 bars into their song. You gotta like, he stands up with that guitar. No. I don't know what your idea is right now, but it's wrong.
Wow.
Sit back down.
Yeah.
Go and watch a few episodes of Community or something.
I think I would have booed. Boo! Boo!
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen listening at home, we give you permission to have whatever loud and song-stopping reaction you want. Don't hit. Don't go all Mike Tyson-y on people.
No, not at all.
But yes, you are allowed to very forcefully assert your right not to have Christian songs inflicted on you on a plane.
God, no kidding.
Ugh. It was so gross. Anyway, so I'm going to take us to, where is this? It's somewhere. There's a place called Christian College of Georgia, so I assume it's in Georgia. I don't know what part of Georgia. It's a little baby college. It's just a cute little baby college that loves Jeebus. Back in the 90s, they realized that they could apply for what's known as an educational broadband service license.
Okay.
And what this was in the 90s, it's different now, but in the 90s, what it was a way to own some of the broadband, some of the radio frequency spectrum in your local area.
Okay.
So the idea was that these colleges could broadcast to everywhere on their own campus.
Oh.
Whether that was like a TV broadcast or whatever.
Oh, okay.
So they owned this bandwidth, and it was basically free for educational groups to have. You just had to apply for it.
Mm-hmm.
And so they got this and didn't realize it at the time, but instantly found, or pretty soon after, realized that they could lease that bandwidth to like cell phone companies. So they got a contract with T-Mobile, leased that licensing to T-Mobile for like $55,000 a year.
Oh, wow.
So not a small sum of money. It actually turned out to be half of the annual income of this tiny little college.
It is a small college.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Okay.
Yeah. If their income is just over $100,000, what do they have? 4 pupils, 4 students? Who knows?
And 2 professors?
Right.
2 poorly paid professors?
Yeah. I don't know how it works. I'm not digging into the finances. We probably couldn't dig into the finances. It's a religious thing, so they probably don't even have to release their finances to the world. Anyway, then 5G came along, and some new changes also in the FCC regulations.
Oh, okay.
Which these happened in 2019, and they basically allow the schools to sell their licenses to commercial companies.
Okay. All right.
Rather than just leasing it every year. Well, that can be worth potentially millions. That that little bit of licensure for a company, for a cell phone company is worth a lot. And a company called WCO Spectrum offered them more than $5.5 million for the license.
Wow. This little school might be growing.
Yeah. And yeah, that's big coin for a tiny little school like that.
Yeah.
Well, T-Mobile decided to step in and put the hammer down.
No.
They offered to buy it too, but they were like, you get 1 million from us, and if you try and sell to anybody else, fuck you, we're not going to let you.
What?
And apparently it's something to do with the leasing agreement and whatever.
Oh no.
And so they're putting a stop to it. So now it's like little baby David and big mean cell phone Goliath.
Oh no.
And of course, this little college doesn't have they don't have the bandwidth, if you will, for a lawsuit. So anyway,
so they're just going to keep taking their 55,000.
Well, we'll see. Or they're going to force the college to take just $1 million instead of 5.5 million.
Such bullshit.
Yeah. So,
I'm not really. I mean, I have a hard time rooting for the little Bible college, but right is right. Right.
Yeah, it does. It does seem.
And there's something wrong here. There's something that's not quite right with that whole thing. And it's T-Mobile,
Yeah, they can afford the 5 million if they want to, but I mean, obviously they don't want to pay 5 million if they can bully them into $1 million. It's a tricky one. I don't even know why I bring it up. It was just this weird little thing where, hey, if you don't, just go back to your roots, man. Just get all Jesus-y about it. You don't need that spectrum.
They've gotten sort of greedy on the telecommunication teat, right? They've gotten a little.
You've got a hill. Mm-hmm. Just sit on it and teach.
Yeah, there you go. So like the money's corrupted them a little, you think?
Obviously.
Clearly. Wow. Whatever. All right, Dan.
Yeah.
I have a story. I kind of really like this story about Sodom from the Bible, the city.
Oh.
Sodom City.
Which Gomorrah gets no play. They only talk about Sodom. I don't know why, but I wish Gomorrah got a little more action out there.
Yeah, Sodom. Of course. It's a little more titillating.
Yeah.
They
named a whole sex act after it. So
yeah, it's
gotta be good.
What's Gomorrah got? Right? Nothing.
What is the sex act that is Gomorrah me? I want to know.
You probably don't. But anyway, there is an excavation project currently underway in Western Jordan at an ancient settlement near the Dead Sea. It's called Tal El Hammam, and it's a crazy sight, because the one thing that everybody can agree on about this place is that something really unusual happened around 1650 BC, because the town was destroyed in some sort of apocalyptic event. The rooftops are melted. There's disintegrated pottery. There's unusual patterns in the rock formations that can be associated with intense heat. And for roughly 3 to 6 centuries after 1650 BC, the settlement's 100 or so acres were fallow. They lay fallow for that period of time. And so recently, Stephen Collins, he's the principal archaeologist at Tal El Hammam. He speculated in the scientific journal Nature that the incineration matched the place and timing of the biblical story of Sodom and Gomorrah, which, of course, is not a typical sort of speculation from, super qualified archaeologists.
Yeah, especially considering that almost certainly nothing from that story actually happened.
Right, exactly. Of course, this is the story of Abraham pleading with God. Is that who it is?
No. Lot and his wife were the Sodomites.
Oh, that's right. So it was Lot was pleading with God to spare Sodom. I'm gonna call out. I believe this is religionnews.com. They say it's Abraham. That's where I got thrown off. Yeah, you're right. It is Lot. Religionnews.com. Got it wrong, everybody.
Got schooled by the atheists.
Well, by you, atheists, not me. I didn't catch it. But anyway, so Lot's like bargaining with God to spare Sodom, right? In order to save its few remaining righteous residents.
Good people.
And then the Lord rained down burning sulfur on Sodom and Gomorrah, the book of Genesis says. And Abraham looks back and sees dense smoke rising from the land, the smoke from a furnace, like smoke from a furnace. And anyway, so people started questioning, who is this Stephen Collins guy? Well, he is the dean of the College of Archaeology at Trinity Southwest University, a Bible college. And he, along with 21 experts, so to speak, or so-called, they were the ones who sort of formulated this opinion that he's sharing about the possibility that it was a meteor that exploded midair. And I
love it when they go sciencey on me.
Yeah, right. And they're saying that it would have had to have been an airburst larger than the one that happened in Russia, right? Do you remember the early 1900s? There was an explosion over like Siberia somewhere, and it just like took out a huge swath of forest. There wasn't really anybody around, but like that people were aware of like what happened. But which was a detonation that was probably about 1,000 times more energy than the Hiroshima atomic bomb. And so he's saying that it's something along those lines. But as people sort of further looked, 8 of his 21 experts are from a group called, let me get to it, the Comet Research Group.
Oh,
this is amazing. They their whole thing is they've been trying to show that ancient cities were frequently destroyed by comets. And frequently destroyed by comets.
It just happened all the damn time.
And they're saying it in their own literature, apparently, that we need to do something about comets before, quote, your city is next. So
Can't someone just do something about the damn Listen, your own fucking book says that God sent whatever the fuck it was that destroyed him. You don't get to just thwart God's will by defending against comets.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and there's been a bunch of other critiques. Apparently, Answers in Genesis, is that the name of the group?
Yeah, Ken Ham's group.
Yeah, they're not happy with this either because it doesn't really line up with their timeline for sort of the chronology of these biblical stories, right?
They know when this happened.
They know, of course they do, right? And this article refers to Answers in Genesis as a biblical chronology watchdog. Which is amazing. This is what they do when people like suggest that something happened at kind of the wrong time. They're like, no, that's about 2 centuries off, which is what they're saying with this one.
Oh my God.
Simon Turpin, executive director and speaker for Answers in Genesis UK, says that the only way for proponents of Tal el-Hammam to synchronize it with biblical Sodom is to revise the biblical date of the Exodus, embrace a short Israelite sojourn in Egypt, and significantly reduce the lifespans of the patriarchs, which of course they're not going to do. So, but Dan,
I just love how like legalistic and crazed they get about a timeline that they can't actually track.
Right.
Like,
right.
You know, they're just guessing off of like, well, there's 26 begats in this, and if everybody lived to an average age of only 403, then blah, blah, blah. Like, there's no archaeological evidence for any of it.
Right.
They're just making it up.
Right. Oh, I know. And I mean, to be honest, they should be embracing this kind of stuff, right? In my mind. And you know, like, I love it. I love kind of this idea that like these people they have this town that they're trying to, and this whole explanation of the comet, like a lot of people just aren't like legit scientists, are just not buying it. But
of course not.
I do like the idea of them finding this town that was destroyed in some sort of fire or whatnot, not because it provides them any proof, but because it actually lends more credence in my mind to these being fables and stories, right? There's that town over there that was destroyed, right, by a comet burst. I'd be fine if that's what it was, right?
Sure. I mean, clearly they found a town that was destroyed.
Yeah. And it's
they know
like
something went on.
It's in sort of the right area. The time is pretty close, whatever. But it's like, it's more likely that some town actually just burned down, right? And and some lore developed up around it. It got handed down and told through the generations. And then it turns into this story about, you know, Lot and pillars of salt and shit.
Right.
You know, yep. I don't know.
Well, there you go. It's just astonishing what they find in the archaeological record. It just proves that the Bible's true, everybody. It's true.
I mean, we do claim to base our opinions on evidence. So,
yeah, I mean, I'm fine believing that like there's a city that was destroyed by something, and clearly, if they come up with a good reason, a good explanation for it.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
I guarantee you the explanation that they come up with won't be God done it.
What the real archaeologists come up with. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, I am going to, we just had Easter weekend, which of course I spent
beautiful, wonderful,
in Atlanta with fellow atheists for the National American Atheist Convention, which was nice.
Did you get
everybody?
Did you get any candy, Dan?
Did I get any candy? You know what? Frankly, the fact that they don't do like an egg hunt and like candy thing at the atheist convention is a missed opportunity. I'll be honest with you.
They should have like a really like irreverent Easter egg hunt of some kind.
Yeah. Like the eggs have porn in them or something. I don't know what you do. Something goofball.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, they didn't. No, I got no candy from American Atheists. Thank you very much, Nick Fish. What are you doing? Anyway, they have it every year on the Easter weekend because obviously the hotel, the hotels will give you a smashing deal because nobody else is going to book. Nobody's going to book a convention on Easter weekend except them. But what I wanted to talk about is the fact that Easter is an interesting. It is traditionally. With most Christian believers, the time of year when you perpetuate a whole bunch of anti-Semitic stories. And it turns out that now, in the year of our Lord 2022, there are actually like a few churches are actually doing something about it, which I think is amazing. the entire Holy Week is when, of course, Christians recount the crucifixion story, and part of that crucifixion story, or at least part of how it has been relayed for centuries, is that Jews killed Jesus. Now, Jesus was a Jew, so, at best, it should just be a wash. You know what I mean? They killed one of their own or whatever, but this idea has been used for millennia, really, as to weaponize Christians against Jews. It's not a logical conclusion. It's not a good conclusion to draw from the Bible, but it's one that is drawn, and the way that pastors have preached about it for a long time has not helped.
Right.
So there is a movement afoot. The Religion News Service's story on it starts actually at the Cathedral Church of St. Mark here in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Oh,
the Episcopal Church, where they're actually trying to sort of come to terms with it and trying to get the anti-Semitism out of Easter. It's apparently trickier than you might think. There's a lot in that story that people sort of unwittingly even emphasize that ends up perpetuating some very bad feelings about the Jews. So they're looking at things like changing the word from Jews to Judeans, which is actually more correct anyway. It was, you know what I mean? It's more specific, and it's and just little changes like that.
Interesting. Okay,
could make a big difference. And of course, all of this comes amid the backdrop of really heavily increasing anti-Semitism here in the United States. It's been problematic.
Yeah.
And, Christians have never been good on Judaism. They've never been, matter of fact, even like just this year, I don't know if you caught it, Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds posted a tweet that was just a happy Passover tweet. And if you know anything about Passover, you know that the clip art menorah and the dreidel probably don't belong in the Passover tweet.
It's the one thing she knew about, to be fair.
Yeah, right.
It's the one thing she knew, right?
Yeah.
About Jewish holidays.
The image itself has it's like a very cutesy little thing, but it's got a menorah. It's got a jug of probably I think it's like an olive oil jug, because there's an olive branch next to it, and there's a Torah scroll and a giant pomegranate and a glass of wine and apples and honey and gelt, the little chocolate coins. I assume they're chocolate or they're coins, and she's just making a direct reference to Jews and their hoarding of the gold. You know how they do that. Anyway, just absurd.
Yeah.
Like, you can't even do happy your thing correctly.
Right.
Just take 10 minutes and just ask yourself, is this right? Have I done this well? But there you go.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, Dan, here's something we've kind of talked about through the years. These health cost sharing ministries. These they sort of pseudo health insurance groups.
Ticking time bombs that people put their money into. And
rather than
that they'll get health care.
Rather than, engaging with the satanic, Affordable Care Act.
Hey, don't go besmirching Satan by associating him with with the health care in the United States of America. Satan is better than that.
Oh, golly. Yeah, the mess that is American healthcare. Or at least the ways that we pay for it. Yeah. So these were sort of this, they would get people to kind of donate to the fund, And then like the organization, the ministry itself would sort of figure out whose medical costs to refund is how it worked, right? If you were a member, sort of a dues paying member, donating member of this whole thing, you could submit your medical receipts and have them refunded.
Right.
In theory,
reimbursed
or
not refunded.
Yeah, whatever. And in theory, like if you don't really think too much on it, it sounds like a good idea, right? Like people just helping people out. It's
basically insurance.
It's basically insurance, but
without any promises
and without probably actuary tables, right? Like they're not basing how much this costs on anything real. And so these organizations have historically sort of been known for denying a lot of claims, right?
Right.
Well, nonetheless, a big giant one is closing. Charity Ministries, which was formerly known as Trinity Health Share,
right, which was a big one. It was one of the early ones and one of the big ones.
At its peak, had 40,000 households in its network. They filed for bankruptcy not too long ago. And then the board got together and kind of thought the whole thing out, and they decided just to liquidate instead.
With a whole bunch of people who had outstanding medical debt.
10,000 families, they estimate, probably have some sort of unreimbursed claim with the group.
That is just abysmal.
It's really, really awful. I mean, part of what took this organization down it's what states should continue to do, is just states suing and going after them for, creating unlicensed and unregulated healthcare insurance.
Right. It's literally just a scam.
It's a total scam.
Opening Arguments did a whole really good rundown on why it's not acceptable that these exist and why it's a full-on scam.
Yeah. Well, this one in particular was also owned by the for-profit healthcare management company Aliera. And so the state of California in their lawsuit called Charity a sham front group, right?
Yeah, they're not even what they say they are. They're just a front for a real it's a real insurance company seeing how much they can get away with.
Well, it's a healthcare management company.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. They're not claiming that Aliera in this article, at least, is an insurance company itself. But yeah, they're in healthcare. And
how evil can we be?
Yeah, totally.
It's like, look, they'll let us be more evil if we say we love Jesus. Let's do that.
Yeah. So, those 10,000 families collectively have $50 million of unpaid medical bills is what they are saying is likely the case.
They were dupes for signing up, and it was not wise of them to sign up. No. But I don't wish any ill on a family that's struggling with healthcare issues.
I know,
it's such a fucking shit show.
I know. And I can't, obviously this is just pure speculation, but if these people had just taken advantage of Obamacare, they would not be in this deep in. So yeah,
it's, there are no easy answers, but the main thing to do is make sure that what you're signing up for isn't just churchy, because then it's almost always a scam.
But isn't that the crazy part though, right? Like,
right.
It happens over and over and over that like these religious groups scam masses of people out of money, right? In whatever way they're doing it, right? And somehow it's the government's plan to fix health insurance that's the evil thing,
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Like it's just, I don't know how these people are so disconnected from reality. Well, they're believers. I guess that's it.
That's the trick.
Yep.
Jesus, literally, if you say the word Jesus 3 times, it's like Beetlejuice, and suddenly, like their brains just go, "Oh, it must be okay then. I'll give you my money. I'm sure you'll come through."
It just makes me sick. And like you're saying, like my heart legitimately goes out for these people. They're dupes.
Yeah.
You know,
but that's not their fault.
Yeah.
I mean, learn, do better. Read the contract for one thing, but
yeah.
Well, from there, I'm gonna take us to Brigham Young University, Idaho.
Oh,
the Idaho campus.
Yeah, that one.
For me, BYU-I is the canary in the Mormon coal mine.
Okay.
Whatever you think might be coming down the pike, they're testing the waters in BYU-Idaho.
Yeah.
They're seeing what they can get away with. They're whatever awful bullshit they might attempt, it's happening there. And here's the thing that's cute now. A student just released a TikTok or a video recently that discussed some goings on in her college level human anatomy class.
Oh, okay.
Which is that all of the imagery that they are meant to look at for their human anatomy class has big circles blocking out all genitalia and female breasts. This is a college anatomy class.
I would presume that people who are studying college level anatomy probably are intending to go forward with some sort of medical education.
You would think so.
They're going to see real ones.
Yeah.
I
got news for you. They have real ones. They've seen it.
Fair enough. But like,
it's the professor, this is just one professor apparently at the university, but the professor claimed that the reasoning behind it was that there are freshmen in the class and they are too young to deal with that sort of imagery. They just can't handle it.
Oh my God.
Which is crazy. I remember being in elementary school and having I think they called it a maturation program.
Yeah.
And they showed us images.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, a 7-year-old can handle these images. It's fine. I think an 18 or 19-year-old is gonna make it. They're gonna be okay.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And yes, lest you wonder, there is a segment of the class on the reproductive system. I don't know how you study the reproductive system without, looking at the reproductive system, but
it's all just black circles and bars over everything. No, it reminds me of the time on my mission when my mission president asked me, because you have regular interviews with the mission president. He asked me how I was doing with porn. And I was like, porn? What are you talking about?
Yeah, this was before the internet.
Yeah. And he goes, the billboards, because like in Italy, there'll be like, naked breasts on a billboard.
Oh my God.
And it was just like, I'm like, I'm fine.
But
he called it
not porn.
No, he called the billboards pornography.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
I was just like,
Well, the young woman who posted this video had an amazing point, which is that those freshmen that he's worried about will be probably married within a semester. So it's fine. They'll be, you know what I mean? That's the culture of Mormonism.
Oh, especially BYU-Idaho.
Yeah. If you're not married and you're 22, you're an old maid at that point. So
funny.
There you go. That's what's good in Mormonism. If you friend at home have anything you'd like to say about this or any of our stories, please feel free to write into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Stick around. We've got more show coming up.
Well, Frank,
Dan,
I don't know if you know this, but our country has elected in its Senate a hilarious cut up. Mr. Ted Cruz.
I caught his act last week
at the Chuckle Hut.
His set, it was so good. It was just,
oh my God,
yeah.
that guy is so funny. But it points out, but I did want to play a little clip of what he had to say. He's talking about, the fact, and we've talked about this a little bit, the fact that Disney kind of has been ruthlessly not assholes to gay folk lately.
Ruthless in their not assholeness. Cool.
Right.
Yeah, that's great.
And so and Ted just has objections.
Oh, I'm sure he does.
Disney refused to be okay with the Don't Say Gay bill in Florida, etc. Anyway,
yeah.
Here's what Brother Cruz had to say.
I think there are people who are misguided, trying to drive, Disney stepping in saying, in every episode now they're going to have, Mickey and Pluto going at it. Like, really?
Thank you for that image, Senator.
But it's just like, come on, guys. Like these are kids, and you could always shift to Cinemax if you want that. Like, why do you have? It used to be, look, I'm a dad. Like, you used to be able to put your kids on the Disney Channel and be like, all right, something innocuous will happen.
See, Frank, when you teach the kids that gay people exist, that's the same as showing them porn, apparently.
Cartoon porn.
Yeah, Mickey and Pluto going at it is what he said.
Right.
That's the line.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. It was such a funny line.
I know. All those. I mean, the audience was eating it up, though. They loved it. Part of though performing, Dan, and you know this, is knowing your audience.
Well, that's true.
He knew his audience.
I'll tell you what. They build the most amazing straw people. Like, none of the arguments that they make are related to the reality on the ground. Like, they're not actually talking about their real perspective versus the real perspective of Disney or anyone who opposes the Don't Say Gay bill or whatever. They're just assuming that if gayness is involved at all, children will see penises penetrating anuses.
They don't believe that. They can't. The issue for them is that when they can't get gay sex out of their heads as adults.
That's it.
Right? Like,
if you say the word gay to Ted Cruz, he immediately imagines two guys going after each other.
Absolutely. And as a gay man, like, I know that that's true because it's the kinds of questions that people ask or about gay couples, right? Like the rude things that people wonder about. Who's the top?
Yeah.
Who's the dominant? Partner.
Who's the husband? Who's the wife?
Who's the husband? Who's the wife? Yeah, like that's what they're thinking of. They don't think. They're not grossed out about heterosexual couples because they're not thinking immediately about sex with heterosexual couples. Because I guarantee you, if they were, they'd be grossed out by heterosexual couples too.
I'm grossed out at the thought of Ted Cruz having sex with somebody.
That's point disgusting. Exactly, right? Like, yes, everybody has sex. Well, not everybody, but
Yeah.
It's
absurd. It's stupid. But that's what they're doing. That's what the right in this country is doing, is like, they don't want to talk about the actual issues that they know they've already lost on.
Right.
They want to talk about the pretend issue that no one is actually talking about, that is not actually an important concept.
Yeah. Well, and now the state of Florida has taken the special district status away from Disney World.
Right.
Which allowed them to basically be their own kind of like county government, right? So they did their own building inspections, and they could have their own security/police force. And so all of that stuff is now going to have to be transferred onto the nearby counties.
Right.
And adding all this cost to whatever those counties' names are, in order to go in and do things that they have their local building department has no idea what to do with all the specialized buildings that Disney would build, right?
Yeah.
They don't know if they're safe or not. They don't know if these rides are safe or not. They have no background in it. And they have all of these people who worked for the special district that Disney owned and operated. And because they owned and operated that, they also got a big tax break. Well, the Florida state government, because they're so pissed off at Disney about all the LGBTQ advocacy that they've done, they're now just costing the local taxpayers all this extra money.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's really quite beautiful.
I hope that someone in Florida is actually able to make that message stick, is actually able to like point out to other Floridians, because Ron DeSantis decided to throw a hissy fit, we're all paying more money. I hope we're all happy.
This tax break wasn't costing us anything, right? Like the Republicans were DeSantis is trying to frame it as like it's costing the state all this money. No, it's going to be, kind of an even split cost wise. It's now just that it's been shifted over to the taxpayers. Stupid.
All right.
It's so stupid.
Well, we had some folks call into us. I wanted to get to them. Steve, whom I met at the American Atheist Convention. Hi, Steve. Wrote into us with this story. He says, "Hi, guys. There I was, walking my dogs, happily garbed in my TGIA t-shirt." To be clear, I was the one in the happily garbed one. The dogs were au naturel. A pickup pulling a trailer passed by, skidded to a halt, and backed up, trailer and all. Leaning over to roll down the passenger window, the driver thrust a finger in my direction and yelled, "Your shirt! It's an oxymoron."
Yep.
Because it says, "Thank God I'm atheist." Yeah. Well, says Steve, he certainly had me there. He followed up, "It doesn't make any sense. You don't make any sense." His message of hope and goodwill thus delivered, the valiant defender of the faith put his truck back in gear and sped off. But then, fair is fair. Think of how many times we atheists have skidded to a halt, backed up, and screamed at someone wearing a cross. "That's an instrument of torture and death." Or screamed at someone in a Jesus Loves You t-shirt, "That's a human sacrifice blood cult." Come on, don't try denying that atheists do that all the time, says Steve. Yeah, there's a meme that's been going around in atheist circles. It's like there's one person that sort of tweeted or commented that if you want to know who's an atheist, just wait a minute, they'll tell you. Which is probably true. But then somebody else commented, "Yeah, we atheists are such a problem with all the atheist jewelry that we always wear, showing off our atheism when our need to, assault people in the subway about our atheism and our desire to go door to door, trying to convert other people to atheism." It almost seems like we're not the problem.
Almost. Well, we also got a voicemail that we should play from a listener who wanted to add a little bit to our conversation last week about Easter being such a mess of a holiday. And her perspective is, we have that perspective because we're Mormon. We grew up Mormon, right?
Yeah.
And had a very strange Easter experience. So she kind of like shed some light on it. It's a good message.
Hey, Frank and Dan, this is Leslie calling, and I just wanted to comment on your discussion about Easter not making any sense. Like you guys, I was raised Mormon, and from that perspective, I would agree that there's just this mishmash of horrific cruelty and torture with the crucifixion, and then, ta-da, we have Easter and celebration, and it doesn't make sense. But I think to other Christians, it absolutely does, and it's not at all the same thing. So I'm a professional church musician because to be a musician and have a regular paycheck, most of us work for churches in some capacity. So I just barely finished a grueling week of singing for masses almost every day last week. I work for a very fancy, large cathedral in an East Coast city where Catholicism is extremely important culturally. And I just want to point out that for Catholics at least, they're coming out of a 40-day Lenten penitential period, and then they have this Holy Week where they have dedicated masses specifically to contemplate the Last Supper, and then the arrest and the crucifixion, and then waiting for Jesus and thinking that he's gone. And so they have this really deep contemplation of all of the cruelty ahead of Easter. And then Easter itself really is something completely different, adjacent to the crucifixion, but really they don't overlap. So I just wanted to point that out. Obviously, I'm an atheist, and it was all bullshit to me anyway, but I do think, the Mormon perspective is a very, very weak sauce compared to the way other Christians practice their contemplation of crucifixion and then Easter really genuinely being a celebration. Anyway, just wanted to put that out there. You guys are great. I love the show, and keep doing what you do. Bye.
Well, thanks, Leslie. That's amazing.
Yeah.
We all have our own experiences, and yes, the Mormon experience is almost guaranteed to be the bad one.
And the screwed up one, and
that makes sense.
Boring one, and the bland one. Yeah.
Indeed. Well, do we have any folks to thank?
We do indeed, Dan. We've got 2 new patrons on Patreon. We have a new elder by the name of Clank.
Clank.
Yeah.
Elder Clank. I like it.
And we have a new patriarch by the name of Christopher.
Wow. Wonderful. Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate that.
Yeah. If you'd like to join them, you can also become a patron of the show. Just go to thankgodimatheist.com and click on the support tab. And there's a couple options there. And Dan, as always, we have our top donor to thank, our Lord and Savior, Demonium. Thanks so much, everyone. Stick around. We've got more show coming up.
Well, Frank,
Dan,
I wanted to start a discussion with a news story that I saw that was it had me tickled. I'll admit, okay. I'm a little tickled. It's a Maryland megachurch. These megachurches were forced to innovate a little bit during the pandemic. They took a lot. All the churches kind of took to the online space, to the Zoom space, to the metaverse, for their religious practices for a while there. But that left certain, that's fine for a sermon. That'll get out there. That's fine. But there are certain rites and rituals that traditionally you can't do unless you're in person. Well, they're surmounting the unsurmountable task, according to this article, where they just had their very first Zoom in-home bathtub baptism.
They were doing by immersion, clearly.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay. All right.
And but not everybody has a baptismal font at the ready at home. So apparently they, you just fire up the old laptop and the guy says some words through the internets and dunk, and you're golden.
Auto baptism.
Auto baptism.
Yeah.
I love it. It's kind of amazing. And of course, it is, at least from our perspective, every bit as effective as the other kind. I mean, it has all of the same amounts of magic.
They figured that one out. It's really an admission of there being a lack of magic, if you ask me.
Well, or an acknowledgement that God's magic, if we are to believe in an omnipotent being, it doesn't need to be the ritual that you've been doing. It can be literally any fucking thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if God gives you the A-OK, it's good. So
yeah,
it got me thinking though.
Mm-hmm.
I want us to make some predictions.
Oh, okay.
About what technological wonders will be coming to the believers in the future.
Okay. Well,
because I think this is just scratching the surface. I think once they realize that they can outsource, that they can digitize their
absolutely
their rites and rituals.
Yeah.
Their sacraments, if you will.
Well, I came up with one, Dan.
Okay.
Because in Islam, there is one of the 5 pillars of Islam is pilgrimage, right? At some point in your life, you have to go to Mecca, right?
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, it's just a shit show over there with millions of people and 100,000 people all at once trying to go make a circle around the Kaaba. People get trampled and whatnot. VR pilgrimage, right?
Oculus Hodge.
No reason to leave your house. No reason whatsoever. Stay at home. Pilgrim from home. Be a pilgrim from home, people.
I love it. It's perfect.
Yeah.
It's perfect. You don't, along those lines, I'm just spitballing here.
Okay.
Why not have an app? It's like you remember the Tamagotchis back in the 90s where it's you had a little.
Was that a little digital pet?
Digital pet.
Yeah.
And you had to push a button and feed it every so often, and you had to push another button and make it poop. I don't know what you had to do. I never had one.
Okay.
But I'm just thinking, you have an app on your phone. It alerts you every time it's time to pray, and then you just push a button, and some little dude, you got a little sim dude who kind of they'll wash up and do the genuflecting for you.
I like that. Yeah.
I don't see why not. I feel like that would work.
And to go back to your bathtub, Dan.
Good.
I was thinking.
Excellent.
I was thinking about the holy dip in what is
Hinduism?
it in Hinduism, where they go to what river is it?
Many different rivers, but the one that I watched it happen on was the Ganges, the Ganga.
Ganges, yeah, which is horribly polluted, right?
Right.
And so I figured you could just take a shit in your bathtub and do your holy dip at home.
Wow. Damn. Okay. I see where you're coming from.
Or just get some used motor oil.
Now.
Some used motor oil and pour it in there. Easy.
Just go to the nearest factory and get some effluent and pour it in.
DIY holy dip.
I also thought we got to help the Christians out some more. They've got baptism, but if you have a Eucharist problem, sign up for HelloFresh Eucharist.
Oh.
They'll deliver a wafer and some wine directly to your door. And then, you just have a priest Zoom bless that shit.
Not if you're Mormon, though. They just deliver some Wonder Bread for you.
If you're Mormon, it can just be your DoorDash or whatever, whatever grocery app you use. And
get some Wonder Bread.
Get some crap white bread and Then just go to the sink and get some water, and you're good.
Good. You're covered.
Oh my gosh! Come into the space age, you guys. We got technology for the people.
We are saving religion a lot of like thought process, right?
Yeah.
At this point, like
Yeah.
we're figuring this out for them. I'm sure they're going to be very appreciative.
Pretty
And,
soon they'll
receptive.
realize they don't need church at all.
But just you wait. One of these is going to happen.
It's a question which one.
Mm-hmm.
I think your virtual Hodge is pretty on point. I think we might be seeing that.
I mean, I have to admit, just because Mecca is a place that's closed to outsiders, right? And quite frankly, I wouldn't want to go there during Hajj anyway. But I would love to, in some way, on a small scale, be able to experience and see the sights, right? With that amount of people. Like if they actually had a VR Hajj experience, just so that you could like see what it is, I would totally check that out. I would absolutely check that out.
You have to stand, you put on your goggles, you have to stand in a room that's cranked up to 112 degrees. And then they push these mannequins shoulder to shoulder with you. And you have to walk slowly on a treadmill.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
I think it's perfect. I think that's exactly what you need to do. You invent it. I think you need to do it.
I don't want to.
Hire some Muslim who's no longer believing to go in there with some hidden cameras on so that we can all experience it.
That's funny.
And it should definitely, you got to have the 3D thing. You got to have like the Google Earth camera going around so that you can turn around and look at the guy behind you. And
Yeah, totally. Yeah. No, I love it.
I love it.
All right.
Oh my gosh. Well, there you go. If you have any ideas for how technology could help your former church in the upcoming
I actually do want to hear some listener ideas on this.
Yeah.
Because like
the
this is a good
Zuckerberg
one.
apocalypse is coming. The Zuckerpocalypse is on its way. What's church going to look like, guys? We'd love to hear it. Write into us, podcast at thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message about it. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, hey, go to the Facebook page, would you? Click on the like button. It's facebook.com/TGIAtheist.
And if you'd like to join one of our members-only lounges, you can do so. Go to our website, thankgodimatheist.com/members-only.
Yeah, hey, thanks so much to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their fine music.
And thanks to Gordon Johnston for the use of his music.
And thanks to all of you, dear friends, for tuning in. We appreciate you.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.